Binance. You've probably heard of them. A gigantic cryptocurrency exchange. Think of it as a massive, sprawling online marketplace, but for digital coins, not say questionable antique teapots. It was founded by a chap named Changpeng Zhao. Most people just call him CZ. He was the big cheese, the main man, a hugely influential figure in the wild world of crypto. Quite the personality by all accounts, and as it turns out, quite the rule bender. Now, this crypto empire, with CZ at its helm, ran into a spot of bother, with the US government no less, and not just a little spot, mind you, more like a full-blown five-alarm fire of trouble. Binance, it seems, was playing fast and loose with some rather important American laws. Rules about money, rules about how it moves, and rules about not helping sanctioned entities. They were caught operating as an unlicensed money transmitter. And their efforts to stop money laundering? Well, let's just say they weren't exactly top-notch. Not good. Not good at all. So the US authorities, not being particularly fond of these shenanigans, decided to act. And act they did, with a rather large financial penalty. How large, you ask? A cool $4.3 billion. Yes, that's billion. With a B. As in, blimey, that's a lot of money. Binance had to cough up, and they had to admit they'd made a monumental cock-up. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist, this was a serious, painful public dressing down, a financial wallop of epic proportions. And what of CZ, the crypto kingpin himself? Did he simply sail off into the sunset on a yacht made of Bitcoin? Not quite. He had to step down as CEO, his reign was over. But that wasn't all. Oh no. He also received a jail sentence. 4 months behind bars, imagine that. The founder of one of the world's largest crypto exchanges, doing actual porridge. It sent a rather clear message, didn't it? A stark warning to the entire industry. Actions have consequences. Even in crypto. This whole Binance saga with its eye-watering fine and its CEO heading to the clink, understandably sent tremors throughout the entire cryptocurrency landscape. The rest of the industry watched, probably from behind their sofas. It was a stark reminder of the enormous risks involved, especially when the rules of the game are as clear as mud, or in some cases entirely non-existent. It was all a bit like the Wild West, but instead of cowboys and six-shooters, you had algorithms and digital wallets. Still chaotic, though. The US government, by bringing the hammer down on Binance, wasn't just settling an old score with one company. Oh no. They were sending a very loud, very clear signal to everyone involved in digital assets. The party, it seemed, was over. Or at least, the part of the party where you could ignore basic financial regulations. It was a clear call. Get your house in order, folks. The time for proper, grown-up rules had well and truly arrived. And not a moment too soon, some might say. Before this regulatory earthquake, the situation was, to put it mildly, a complete muddle. Utterly bewildering. Who was actually in charge of overseeing crypto? Was it the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, or was it the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC? Frankly, your guess was as good as anyone's. Which digital coin fell under which agency's remit? It was a regulatory spaghetti junction, causing massive headaches for businesses trying to innovate, and for consumers trying not to get fleeced. So, understandably, a chorus of voices began to rise, demanding change. This wasn't just disgruntled regulators either. Many legitimate crypto firms were also crying out for clarity. They wanted clear, unambiguous guidelines. No more navigating a minefield of conflicting or absent rules. This growing pressure from both inside and outside the industry spurred lawmakers into action. It was time to try and bring some order to the chaos. Finally, thank goodness for that. So what's the grand plan to fix this regulatory quagmire? Well, allow me to introduce the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act of 2025. Or, because that's a bit of a mouthful, the Clarity Act. Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? This is a brand new bill, hot off the legislative presses, introduced by US lawmakers, and here's a novelty. It has support from both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, actually working together, on crypto. Key figures like Representative French Hill are championing it, along with Democratic co-sponsors, a rare sight indeed. Now, the primary objective of this Clarity Act is commendably straightforward. It aims to establish clear, understandable rules of the road for digital assets, things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all those other curiously named tokens. A crucial part of this will be clearly defining which government agency oversees which type of digital asset. Will it be the SEC, traditionally focused on securities, or the CFTC, which usually handles commodities? The act wants to end the jurisdictional tug-of-war and provide some, well, clarity. It's in the name after all. But it's not just about drawing lines between government agencies. A huge focus of the Clarity Act is on protecting consumers. Everyday people like you and me. People who might be tempted to dip their toes into the crypto waters. The act will mandate that companies provide accurate and relevant information about how their projects operate, who actually owns and controls them, and what the underlying structure is. Crucially, firms dealing with customer money will have to keep those funds separate, segregated from their own company cash, which seems like a rather sensible idea, doesn't it? And what about the businesses themselves? The ones trying to build legitimate, innovative services in the digital asset space? Well, the Clarity Act aims to support them too, by providing that much-needed regulatory certainty. If companies know what the rules are, they can plan and invest with more confidence, instead of constantly looking over their shoulder. The Act will establish comprehensive registration systems, so firms can legally serve U.S. customers, provided they play by the new, clearer rules. Which sounds like progress, doesn't it? The grand ambition behind the Clarity Act, then, is to foster a safer, more transparent and more stable environment for digital assets, for everyone involved. That means better protection for consumers, so they're less likely to be victims of scams or poorly run enterprises. It means support for genuine American innovation, allowing honest businesses to flourish, and it means clearer lines of responsibility for the regulators themselves. Think of it as installing a proper set of traffic lights and road signs in a town that previously relied on hopeful guesswork. Much more sensible. This new, clearer framework, if enacted and enforced effectively, should, in theory, help prevent future debacles on the scale of the Binance mess. By making the rules explicit, it becomes much harder for companies to claim ignorance, or to operate in the shadows, flouting basic financial safeguards. The Act pushes for greater transparency in how these digital asset firms operate, and it demands accountability when things go wrong. These are not revolutionary concepts. They are the bedrock of any well-functioning financial system, and crypto should be no exception. But why, fundamentally, does any of this bureaucratic wrangling actually matter to ordinary people? Well, clear rules and robust regulation are absolutely essential for building trust. And trust is the cornerstone of any financial system, digital or otherwise. If digital money and crypto assets are ever to achieve widespread mainstream adoption, people need to feel confident that their investments are reasonably safe, confident that the platforms they use are sound, and confident that there's some recourse if things go pear-shaped. It just makes sense. So, is the Clarity Act the magic wand that will solve all of crypto's problems overnight? Probably not. Let's be realistic, it's a significant and positive step forward, no doubt. A serious attempt to bring order to a notoriously unruly space. But the legislative journey itself has hurdles. It needs to pass through committee votes scheduled for June, and then the full legislative process. The aim is to get it done before the August recess. Then comes implementation and enforcement. The path to a truly mature, stable, and safe digital finance future is likely to be a marathon, not a sprint. But at least someone's finally lacing up their running shoes and pointing in the right direction.